Welcome to another episode of Empower Apps. I'm your host, Leo Dian. Today, I'm joined by Evan Stone. Hey, Evan, thank you again for coming on for this very special episode.
Thanks for having me on, Leah. Appreciate it.
Yeah, before we begin, I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Evan Stone, and I live in California, and I'm an iOS developer for Martian Craft, and I also have a podcast called iOS Dev Break, and I'm also working on uh, a community, a virtual co-working community for iOS, Swift, Mac developers, etc., called Swift Remote Studio, and that is still going well. And so yeah, that's pretty much about me right now. I have some side projects and things going on too, but mostly what I've been focusing on is those other things and the jobby job work.
Yep, cool. We had you on previously, was it last year, to talk about UI Kit? So I'm really happy to have you back on. You've been an awesome
Yeah.
guest, and we have a very special episode today to talk about the Apple event. So what are your overall thoughts on how it went?
Wonderlust. Let's see. I thought it went. I thought it went really well. Actually, it's funny. But my reactions afterwards were that I wasn't really the things that it impressed me about it were not the things that I was expecting.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
they threw some curves in there that I thought were pretty cool, and so I thought it was a great event. Actually, it was way better than I was expecting because I thought it was going to be kind of ho hum. You know, like I don't know what they can really what can they beat from last year, and what can they do that'll be more impressive than
Right.
the Vision Pro, which they announced at DubDub. So, but I think they did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I think it was not what it was what I expected and not what I expected both at the same time, kind of like what you're saying. And like you said, I was impressed by things that I didn't think I was going to be impressed with. And I think we talked offline about kind of like my plans as far as purchasing, and now I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, okay, I was wrong. Um,
right. Me too.
because
Me too.
there was something I was holding out for that I was like, unless I have that, I wouldn't buy a brand new one. Now I'm like, yeah, okay, now I gotta buy a brand new one. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was the year I was kind of planning on spending some money, so I'd already saved up for it, and yeah, so we'll
Turns out
start
that was
off.
smart.
We'll start off talking about. Let's start off talking about the Apple Watch. Let's go with that. So I had been holding
Sure.
out for an Apple Watch for quite a while because, quite frankly, I mean, there really hasn't been anything new in like the 3 or 4 years. Like other than a bigger size screen, it's really been boring. Are you an how involved of an Apple Watch user are you?
I'm. I guess they're probably different levels, right,
Yeah,
of Apple Watch usage. I use it all the time for my fitness stuff.
okay,
I have the watch on all the time,
yeah,
and I am currently rocking a Series 4. So,
yeah, okay.
and
Nothing wrong with that.
yeah, and with the Apple event coming up, my plans were originally see what the Ultra would offer,
Yeah,
but probably I would go with the Series 9, whatever that was, whatever,
yeah, yeah,
beforehand. I had mostly just because I wanted to get something that, I mean, if I could just replace this straight up, with a Series 9, the wider 45 millimeter or whatever, then I would probably be okay.
yeah,
The thing that was really troubling to me recently, and this happened just within the last maybe 2 weeks, is that my battery levels, it just started dropping, like plummeting. It's almost
you're
like it knew that the
you're not on the
event was
beta
coming
or
up.
anything.
It started before the beta, and then I
Okay,
switched to the beta, and it seemed to improve a little bit, and then it went back to
okay, okay,
the way it was before.
yeah,
I think it's just from age, because it's a Series 4, so that's what 4 or 5 years ago, that I got it. So
yeah.
So yeah, so I was really looking forward to seeing what the options were for this year.
So what did you end up going with, Evan?
I haven't made any purchases yet, but the problem is
Unlike some
that
people.
yeah, unlike some people. So I really feel like I want to go with the Ultra 2.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
same
sure we
here.
can talk about what the features are.
Um
But I was already leaning towards an Ultra,
yeah.
but before this and so now, yeah, I don't know. There were some things there that made me think, okay, I'm going to do the Ultra 2. The reason I didn't do an Ultra last year was because I tend to shy away from whatever the V1 version of a thing
Yeah,
is.
same here. Same here.
Having said that,
Yeah.
Vision Pro is probably a V1 thing that would be advantageous
Yeah.
to take a look at. But so I thought, I'll just wait for the Ultra 2, and then I don't know. So my current thinking is, if I can swing it somehow, I'll go for the Apple Watch Ultra 2, I think.
Yeah, so I think I was leaning. So I was definitely going to buy a new watch this year because this is the first year where we have a brand new chip finally.
Yeah.
Every like 6, 7, 8 have all been the same chip, and it's like
Right.
totally been disappointing that they haven't really updated the processor at all. I was leaning more towards the Ultra as somebody who develops apps for the watch, as well as the fact I'm just surprised how many
Yeah.
people have Ultras. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
like this is actually
In
a
the
useful
wild,
device.
right?
People like it. People find it useful. So for me, it's like, yeah, this is actually a reasonable device to buy because everybody else is buying it. Totally not. I'm not going to be an avid, outdoorsman. I'm not going to go deep sea diving. But like, I really like the Apple Watch, and I want to take it to the next level. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
the thing that I was really impressed with on the Ultra 2, honestly, was that watch face that they showed
Yeah.
off. Most of the new watch faces that come out are garbage, quite frankly, and they're a little bit novelty acts with like, okay, I like Peanuts just as much as the next guy, but come on, like,
Yep.
like
Yet another
how much
Peanuts.
Toy Story, like, it's just like, yeah, but like this new watch face looks fantastic. It's exactly what I want. I want
Yeah.
a watch face, digital clock on it. I can read an analog clock, but when I flip my wrist, I don't want to do it like I don't want to have to think about it, right? And it has like a ton of information out there, and I'm just like, this is exactly what I want. This is the watch face I want, and I'm like, yeah, I was already leaning towards an Ultra, but that kind of sealed the deal for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I do. Well, I haven't recently because I got into a bike accident last year, but I was doing a lot of, kind of gearing up towards doing more mountain biking stuff, and so the Ultra was
Okay.
really appealing to me. But then I had that accident. It was at the beginning of last year, and so I just thought, no, I'll wait. And but now I'm starting to gear back up. No pun intended. And so I am thinking more in terms of more fitness oriented activities
Yeah.
and having a more durable watch to take on those.
the battery
And
life,
I love
the battery life.
battery life. That's exactly what I was
Like,
just going to say. Is the battery
yeah.
life? Yeah, for sure.
Two, like the other thing, yeah, I do running. I've done a half marathons. I'm hoping to get back into running. So, well, that would
Nice.
be super helpful for me. What was I going to say? Oh, I was just going to say, like, yeah, you're never going to see an ad of somebody sitting on the crapper playing. What's a really horrible game that people play where it has like all the gambling dynamics.
Oh, I don't know.
What's a jewel? There's like a gem
Oh yeah,
jewel.
Bejeweled. That's the classic one. I don't know what they do now.
Oh, come on, what is it? Now I gotta look it up. Game. Jewel games. Whatever. Jewel Legend. Jewel Mania. Yeah, you're never gonna see one of those ads. Because that ad in the beginning was all like, you know, people getting their lives saved by having an iPhone. It's always
Right.
inspirational stuff, and then like very little of it is like, oh, I love the iPhone 14 because it lets me doom scroll on x.com. Like you're just never going to see that in an ad. So it's funny, just
Yeah.
like reality and like their ads in the beginning. Sorry, that was a total
Oh, yeah.
total sideline. But yeah,
But it's true. I'm looking at the screenshots I took of that initial thing, and yeah, it's very the inspirational videos that they have at the beginning about how Apple Watch and iPhone save these people.
Yeah.
It's,
yeah.
yeah, very Apple.
And all, of course, like all the games, they're all like these fancy 3D games. It's not like, oh, this game really helped us catch the whale and we made a ton of money with these addictive. It's like, no. It's like, let's talk about really fancy games and stuff. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. So the iPhone, you can order the Apple Watch Ultra now, probably the Series 9 now, and it will be available on the 22nd. So,
cool.
yeah. Anything
Yes.
else you want to mention about the Apple Watch?
So yeah, they have the new processor. I mean, so that's
Yes.
awesome. But it's not only on the Ultra, but also the Series 9.
Yes.
They're claiming all day battery life, which I mean, I was getting really good battery life before my watch started taking a nosedive. I thought that was interesting that you can do name drop with the watch. Maybe that was something they mentioned at WWDC that I missed.
I think
thought it was
so.
just with
That
your
goes
phone,
into
but-
the whole new ultra wideband chip.
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah.
The ultra wideband chip was introduced on iPhone 11, so now we're getting a new version of that. And I think so. You get better Find My Phone, right?
Right.
And then on top of it, like I think the name drop on the watch is a new thing as well.
Yeah.
I believe
'Cause
so.
they're
I believe you need the new hardware, or
Yep.
possibly their soft lock. They're only going to allow it on the new models. Either way, like I think name drop was definitely an iOS 17 thing, but as far as like whether it's something like on the new hardware for the Apple Watch, I'm not sure about that. Yeah.
Evidently, or at least assisted by it, because they did mention Series 9 has the ultra wideband.
Right. They both
in it,
have
so-
I think I assume it's part of the SoC. I would assume.
Yeah. So
Right.
I wasn't sure if that was completely new. If I'm assuming it was new with the new S9 system on a chip thing. So
Yeah.
so that's cool. That's and so you get that benefit whether you're on the 9 or the Ultra, which is pretty cool.
No new SE this year.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
And what do you think of the double tap?
So I was gonna.
That's
So
supported on both.
I put a link in the notes because this sounds a lot like something that they've kind of introduced. That they've been talking about for the last year or so, and there's this like
Yeah.
assistive touch stuff, which
Right.
they have briefly touched upon and had some videos on, and I'm curious about like how it's related to assistive touch. Double tap is awesome. Like I wish there was more stuff like that as far as like just allowing you to do more gestures similar to kind of what they're doing with the Vision Pro, right? On the watch.
It's exactly like it. It's
Yeah.
the same gesture.
Yeah, and I wish there was more stuff like that because I just wish. I think I mentioned it in the Slack. Like, I wish I could do double tap so I don't have to take the call and it just goes away. I would do the opposite thing.
Yes. Yeah. Can we have double tap?
I'm in
so
the
that
middle
I
of
won't
something
have to
right
take the
now.
call?
Can I not answer this call? Like, yeah,
Dismiss the call?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Have you looked into any of that assistive touch stuff?
I haven't, but I thought it was very interesting when they announced it because,
Right.
like you said, I think that was a year ago or 2 years. I'm not sure how long ago, but yeah, it's amazing that they can track that on with the watch. You know what you're doing with your hand,
Right,
and
right.
that they have sensors in there that can actually do that. That's remarkable to me.
Yep.
And I don't do any, watch development, but it would be interesting to see what options are available for that. if you can tap into that and what you can do with it.
Let's see what else I had in my notes.
I'm assuming that that's an accessibility option that even
Right.
just
Yeah, it is.
the average watch developer can tap into and do cool stuff with.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
You want to talk about the environment stuff? It's a cool skit. I like the skit.
We could. Yeah, that's what I would love. I thought that video was the environmental video was fun. I'm not. I think it's good that Apple is doing all of these environmental things. It's not necessarily a reason for me to buy Apple products because of that,
Right.
but I think it's great that they're doing that. And that video with Octavia Spencer was that was great. In fact, I want to watch it again just to see that because it was so entertaining, and it made you think about things like, it's interesting that they're doing these environmental things like the carbon footprint elimination, going carbon neutral with Apple Watch, both of the Series 9 and the Ultra, depending on what band you get, and those kinds of things they're interesting, and it's great that they're being very conscientious about that, and it makes you think a little bit more, I think, about the things that we do, and do we find that important? I think it's really cool that they're not only making these amazing products, but they're also doing those initiatives as well.
Two things. One is I usually get the Nike watch, and that Nike band looks awesome.
Yeah.
It's too bad I will not be getting a Nike watch, but I like the little speckle of recycled material in the band. I think that looked really cool. And then the other, what's that?
The Nike faces.
Yeah.
I think I think I looked away for a second and they showed some of the Nike faces, and then the last one that they showed in that video, I was like, "What is that? Oh, it's a Nike face. I won't be getting a Nike watch, so I won't have access to that. I don't think, unless there's a way to get the access to those faces. I don't think.
I think
so.
they're, even though they're software, I think they're locked out of the.
Like it knows what type of watch it is.
Sorry, you spent too much money on a watch. You can't get the Nike face. And then, I kind of I always wonder, and I don't know if you know the answer to this or if anybody else does, feel free to chime in, but how does the environmental stuff affect, the fact that Apple kind of, they assemble a lot of stuff, but they don't really make a lot of stuff, if you know what I mean? The screen comes from Samsung, the chip comes from Foxconn. How does that carry down their environmental initiatives when it comes to the actual, whatever you call it in the business world, sub-manufacturers or whatever? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. But, I mean, hey.
I mean, Apple
everything
strikes me as the type to be able to use their influence, to motivate the people they work with to go in that direction.
Yep.
Whether they would or not, or whether they do or not, I don't know. But, throw a little more money at the problem, maybe that would help, or I don't know.
Yep.
It's an interesting question, though.
iPhone 15. Are you buying an iPhone 15?
Ooh. It was not on my list until I saw two things. Even the USB-C was not really enough to motivate me. I mean, I thought that's great. I love the convenience of now my iPad Pro and the phone would have the same, and even the AirPods Pro. I thought that was great too. They converted that as well.
Right.
So iPhone 15, I was not planning on it until I saw the titanium.
Well, that's the Pro. That's the Pro. Let's just talk about the regular iPhone 15.
Okay, 15 regular. No, it's not on my radar.
Okay. My initial thought was I'd rather get an iPhone 14 Pro that has a bunch of other bells and whistles attached to it than get an iPhone 15 at this point, because it's I mean, you save $100. I want to try out the Dynamic Island. That's the thing, is I have an old enough phone now and going back to what you said, the V1 is never I'd rather get the V2 of something, and Dynamic Island is a classic example of that. So I was like, I'm either going to get a 14 or a 15. So, yeah. So, like, I just don't, like, you get so many features with the 14 Pro over the 15, like the ProMotion, always on screen, probably. Like, it just, and probably the camera's honestly probably better. Even though there might be some more fancy machine learning in the 15, I would assume you get a better camera on the 14 Pro. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's kind of my thinking.
I got the sense that it felt like the camera from the 14 Pro was in the 15, but I could be wrong about that. I'm not a camera photography guy, so
Yes, I know.
I don't keep track of. Excuse me, I don't keep track of all of those details, super
But
well.
the 15 Pro has 3 lenses as opposed to the 14.
That's
Or
true.
15 has only 2 lenses. The 14 Pro always has the 3 lens. So
Yes.
I don't see how you would ever get a better camera.
Good point.
Technically. So, yeah,
Yep.
right.
Yeah. So no, that's probably a good strategy if you're just deciding between those two options.
Right.
Like at this point, 14 Pro would probably still be a better option than a 15
Yep.
or 15
Yeah.
Plus.
So,
And the 15 Plus, I totally forgot about the 15 Plus. The,
are you a big screen person or a small screen person?
yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I've always had, ever since the 6 Plus, I've gone with the, oh, I'm sorry, I take that back. I did get an iPhone 10, but the next phone after the iPhone 10, I was back to the large displays.
Okay.
So yeah, I have a 14 Pro Max right now.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to stick with that, even though every once in a while, I like if I ask my wife for her phone, she has a 12 Pro, and I go, this is actually not a bad form factor. So,
what do you feel like you gain out of it? I have a Max as well. Like, and I don't know if I'd go Max, stay with Max or go with regular Pro. What's kind of your feeling on it?
I like the larger screen.
Yeah.
I feel like it makes things, yeah, I mean, there's just more to it, right? And it has slightly better camera also, I think.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Right. Right. So let's get
about that. But,
let's get into the Pro. So what entices you about a 15 Pro?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the 15 Pro for me,
Titanium.
I mean that material, that titanium having it's stronger, lighter, thinner borders, made out of the same stuff the Mars rover's made out of. No, that's not really a selling point for me. But the brush texture, I mean, it's a really, really, really awesome looking phone. Even though I put mine in a case, so I probably wouldn't even see that.
Right.
But
yeah, that's kind of where I feel.
A lighter phone would be nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
and then also the other feature for the pros for me was the camera, and I don't know do we want to do the spoiler thing with the spatial camera. So doing spatial video.
Yeah.
For me, that was the one thing that I saw that I
yes.
I thought, oh, now I have to upgrade.
So
at least I think I do.
I think that was the thing that I was like, well, it sounds like they're not going to even have that this year. Then I'm like, I'll just get the 14 Pro. And then when they announced that today, I was just like, oh, yeah, I have to get the 15 Pro. Is it only on the Max or is it on both?
I think it's on both.
Okay. But the Max.
That's my understanding.
The Max is the one that has the 6x optical zoom. Is that correct?
I think so.
Okay. This is what happens when you record right after the event. Let me
exactly.
look. Let me look real quick.
I'm looking at the Pro here. Titanium.
Come on, camera. Pro camera. Digital zoom. Optical zoom on the Pro is only 3x. Optical zoom on the Max is 5x.
3x on the Pro?
3x on the Pro, and no 3D sensor shift, optical image stabilization, and autofocus. I assume that 3D thing is probably for spatial video. I'm going to assume that, and I could totally be wrong, and somebody can call me out on it. but my thinking is, I think you can only do spatial video on the Pro Max. So I don't see spatial audio, but they don't say anything about spatial video.
Oh,
So
that's not even on the tech specs.
yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
looking
weird.
at. Because I assume that's a software thing, probably, that will be in 17.2 at this point. So, yeah. Spatial video, it's on the first part. So, because that's a software thing that isn't available yet.
I bet if we went back into the event video and checked, it would
Take
be
spatial videos
might be a
on
little
the
more
15 Pro and relive them on the Apple. So maybe that is on either one.
I would hope so.
Okay. So, but you like the bigger phone anyway. What do you care?
I know. Even though I've been thinking of, okay, so yes, I like the bigger phone, but having tried the smaller one, I've also liked, it's an interesting form factor. For me, it would feel like a little bit downsizing, but it could play into the strategy of buying this year's smaller phone and then doing the thing where I could pass on the Pro from this year to my wife, who prefers a smaller phone
Okay.
next year, and then just do that kind of cycle where we
Gotcha.
each get a new
Gotcha.
phone
And then that way you and your wife are on
every
the same size and you can pass them.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been
Yeah.
toying around with that idea. I've also been thinking about doing the upgrade program, if that's a thing still. I thought it was.
So how often do
then-
you buy a new phone?
I don't really buy a phone all that often.
Okay.
But with an upgrade program like that, I don't know. I might be inclined to do that every year. I don't know.
Okay.
I want to see how that all works.
I mean-
every year I kind of, or not every year, but whenever I am going to search for a phone, I kind of look at the specs or the details of that, and I think, not this time. So,
Yeah. I
I
think
don't
last year, so the iPhone 11 Pro Max was my last phone, and I actually bought that used.
okay.
That's my current phone. I actually bought it used the year of the iPhone 12 because I just was not impressed with anything on the 12. And I was like, I want dark. So I had a 10s before that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And that I had bought brand new, and then before that I bought the 8 Plus brand new. I did not buy a 10 because I wanted to save some money. I didn't really care about Face ID and all that stuff. But the iPhone 11 Pro, I was like, I had to get that because I really wanted the dark at night photos. And then everything since then, other than maybe the dynamic island, there really hasn't been anything that's like enticed me. And then just the battery has gotten worse. It's a 5-year-old phone, as you might imagine. And like, I wanted something with a dynamic island. And I figured there's been enough upgrades in the last 3 or 4 years that's worth it. And it's like, okay, so this year it's either 14 Pro or 15 Pro. And like you said, spatial video, that's it. Like that does it for me. There's a bunch of other stuff that I liked about the Pro, but really that spatial video thing is kind of the thing I was waiting on. I was like, I'll buy a 14 and then next year they'll come out with spatial video, but no, they already have it out this year. So like now I'm like, I gotta get it. I gotta get the new one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how much space do you usually get?
Typically, I think I've been kind of edging up. I think I have a 512 right now.
Okay.
But I think I probably could have got a 256 and not. I would be creeping up to filling it up, or maybe I am over it. Anyway, so I'm happy with the 512. I think that was
Yeah,
the
same
right
here.
decision on
Yeah.
this last one. So
Yeah. The price isn't
Yeah,
worth it
so-
for 1 terabyte.
I mean-
Unless
I
I
mean,
could get all my photos on there, which
Yeah.
I can't because I have too many photos. Like, I think I'm just
Oh,
going
yeah.
to stick with 512 again.
yeah,
And it's perfectly fine.
yeah, and well, then we have the spatial video thing. Like, how dense is that? I don't know.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but Apple likes to make money off of services, and they offered a new service this
Right.
year, the 6
Yes.
terabyte
Yes.
plan. So Yeah, I think they know exactly what they're doing here.
I was really happy about that.
No, I'm
It's
happy about it
been
too because I'm sick of.
so
I don't want to run out of
long.
space. Yeah.
Right. So all my family is on a 2 terabyte, and
Okay.
I've I just checked, yeah, maybe I want to say maybe a month ago or whatever, and I was concerned that, oh no, 2 terabytes the limit,
Yeah.
and we're
How many people are
definitely
we
over
are we
half.
talking here?
It's just three of us.
Okay. Okay.
But my daughter takes a lot of video, and she shares a lot of videos and gets a lot of, so a
Okay.
lot of her video stuff ends up in iCloud, and I have quite a bit too. So so the fact that they're introducing new plans is such a welcome change. I'm really glad that they're doing that.
So the two older daughters have now devices of their own.
Oh, okay.
And by devices, I mean an old iPhone and an old Apple Watch. So we're not quite at a point where we are taking up a lot of space. However, yeah, I don't. They what's the max right now on the number of people in your family? As you know, I have a lot of people in my family, so that's why I asked that.
Right. I don't know. Is it
But luckily, they're
five?
youngins, so they don't really have accounts. But I can see in a few years that becoming an issue. I'll have to
Yeah.
file a feedback item for that. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. I
if
don't
you have a
know.
daughter who takes a lot of video, that's yeah, I could see that eat away, especially spatial video in the next year or two. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And unfortunately, they haven't changed the iCloud Plus information. So if you go to
Okay,
apple.com iCloud, it still says it has 2 terabytes as the top end.
okay.
So,
So did they explain again? Do they up everybody's to 6, or do you have to pay more for 6?
oh, that is a really good question. Let's see if I have that screenshot. I got the sense that we had to pay.
I would assume Apple would not. Yeah,
Yeah, I'd assume that we just have to pay more for the
okay.
6 and 12.
I would assume so as well.
So, but I'm glad that they didn't do. Yeah, so it's so they still have the 2, and then there's 6 and 12. They don't mention any prices there, but my assumption is that you just pay more and you get more space. I'm
Right,
kind of glad they didn't do 2, 4, 6. So now we have a lot more space here. This
right,
is great.
right.
Of course, I
Yeah.
haven't seen the prices yet, so it may not be that great ultimately.
Anything else you want to talk about concerning the event today?
Let's see. I didn't know if did we want to talk about the A17 at all. I don't have much to
Much to say.
talk about it other than, I guess, I mean, it's a new processor,
Three.
and
Is this the 3 millimeter one?
yeah, three
Okay.
nanometer. So
Nanometers.
that's kind of
Sorry.
a big deal. No, I'm not one of these processor spec type people who watches that, but the smaller that gets, the more they can fit, and it makes it, they can do more, they can be faster, more cores and that kind of stuff. And so it looks like they're still trying to push the envelope on that. It sounds like they did some really good stuff with the GPU, higher frame rates, ray tracing. The ray tracing demo was pretty impressive. I'm not a real gamer, so I didn't really have much to compare against, but it looked cool, and I was sort of thinking in terms of Vision Pro, like
Yeah.
maybe that's something that is a byproduct of that work too.
Well, the Vision
Even though
Pro is an M1,
Vision Pro's
right?
yeah, M2, yeah,
Or M2, yeah, right.
yeah. So, but at this point, they're all kind of cousins, I guess.
Right.
So they probably share ideas and design and that kind of stuff across.
Yeah.
But
So
you know what we didn't talk about? We
what?
didn't talk about the action. We didn't talk about the action button. So
Yeah.
and the phone.
That's
And so,
nice.
what do you think about that?
It's nice.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
it's good that we moved it. Like, let's be honest. Most people silence their phones and never like,
Yeah.
unless you're people who don't silence their phones tend to be not very
Yeah.
technically savvy. So it's nice to see that you can add like now you have an action button that you can customize. Like
Yeah.
there's definitely a lot of great ideas that they talked about, and I assume that there's shortcut implementation as well. What did you
Yeah.
think about it?
Yeah. So I'm thinking in the same line of thought that you were just talking about, which is that at first I thought, well, why would I want that? I really like having the hardware silence button. But then I thought, I like literally never turn it off.
Right.
I mean, I always have it silenced.
Yeah.
So, so then I started thinking, well, actually, that makes a lot of sense to me. I would be happy to have that in my control center. I would, silencing. If
Yeah.
I could have that in my control center, just pull down, silence, I'm fine with that. And then have the side button be used for other things. I think that's great. Like the photo, using it to take pictures, or
Yeah.
the shortcut thing.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge
not a shortcut person.
and I'm
Yeah.
not a power user with shortcuts, but
Yeah.
it could be cool, I guess, to use that. So
And I'm curious if you can like customize it to be like one tap does this, long tap does that, double tap does this, triple tap does this. Like I don't know. I would assume so.
yeah.
So yeah,
I-
we're getting two action buttons, assuming you get an ultra. Like
Yeah,
so
I was thinking the same thing about the Ultra.
yeah. So yeah, yeah. There's a
Is
lot
that-
you can do with ultra or the action
Is that
button. Excuse
accessible
me.
to us as developers? Is the action button accessible
Yes,
to us?
I believe so.
Apple Watch Ultra. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's cool. And so maybe it would be available to us as well.
Right.
The action button on iPhone 15 Pro.
Right. Right.
So
yeah.
it opens up some interesting possibilities. Again, it's not really a selling point to me. I mean, it's cool, and it'll be interesting to see. And by default, it acts as a silent button, so that's fine.
I think it's
so I guess
I think
it's-
it's good that we don't have a hardware switch that may be allowing damage to an iPhone.
Yeah.
So in kind of the same way that we got rid of a hardware home button and switched
Yeah.
that to in between getting rid of the home button, we switched that to a software button, I guess. So I think like
Yeah.
that to me, like, hey, if it reduces water damage or anything else, go for it.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
We
People don't buy
also didn't-
ringtones anymore, so if you wanted to buy a ringtone, unfortunately, you can't really have a ringtone for iPhone 15 Pro. So, yeah.
we didn't really discuss the USB-C stuff, did we? Or
We
touched
did
on
it. Thank you, Evan.
But-
Because everybody has been talking about it for weeks beforehand. So it's like, it totally was like, yeah, we know it's USB-C. So iPhone
Yeah.
15 gets USB-C, but it's USB 2 speeds, I believe. So it's basically no faster than what you get in a
Oh,
Lightning.
I see. Okay, right.
The Pro, you can get a Thunderbolt cable, and then now you can. It'll actually like be Thunderbolt speeds, which is,
Right.
I think, 1,000 times faster than what USB 2
the
is.
Pros have the
I
USB 3.
that was something that interested me based on the rumors, because I would be curious to see if it's a lot faster to debug on an iPhone Pro with a Thunderbolt cable.
Yeah.
And also, as an Apple Watch developer, it's better, but it still could be even more better. So I'd be curious about that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, what do you think?
I didn't catch the thing about the Thunderbolt, but now that totally makes sense. I thought it was just USB 3, but if it's Thunderbolt, then that would make their sales pitch about the doing video straight to an external drive, like an external SSD or whatever. That would make a lot of sense. Being
Yeah.
able to and with that high,
Yeah, the
transport.
external SSD or external hard drive is amazing. I mean, that's gonna be awesome.
yeah, that's really cool. I mean, not that I would ever use it, but for
Right.
people who are doing video, that's pretty cool. And
Right.
so USB-C would enable that. You can't deal with Lightning. I thought just on practical terms, having I guess we did mention this before, but AirPods Pro 2, the new version, also is USB-C,
Yeah.
and I thought interesting too. They're the cabled AirPods. They're having a USB-C version of
PC.
that too, but that makes sense because
Yeah. Does that
they
come with the
already have the
iPhone?
Lightning one. No, I don't
The
think it comes
headphones?
anymore.
No.
No,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, you have to buy it separately.
So finally, you could get external
They want you to get
storage for your
AirPods.
iPhone. Take that,
Yeah,
Android.
that's right.
No ringtones, but we have external storage now. Yay!
Right. Oh my goodness. Yeah, yeah. You can have massive Thunderbolt storage.
Yeah. Could you just imagine like 12 South or like one of these companies coming out with like new hard drive case for the iPhone? Just like a, what is it? Just like a external power battery thing. You have now external
Right.
hard drive. And then that's your phone. Maybe make it look
And
like
that's your
one of
phone.
those nice satellite phones from the 80s. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Um,
Cool.
yeah. Do you want to talk about Swift Remote Studio?
Sure. Yeah, yeah. We can talk about that for a little bit because the last time we chatted, I think we did talk about it, and at that point, it was kind of like things went a little bonkers, and I wasn't sure I wanted to continue with it. Right. So I was there was all this build up. I got like 141 people joined to V1 of Swift Remote Studio, and then it really turned out that nobody wants that as a service, right? Nobody wants to pay for that for co-working virtual and service. So I thought, well, okay, let's just go back and fall back and see what makes the most sense for today and what people would join. And so I thought, well, maybe not a co-working service, but what about just a co-working community? And so that's kind of where we're at now.
Okay.
And it just has been building up, building up, building up. We're almost back to 100 members.
Nice.
I think as far as active members are concerned, I want to say somewhere like 10%, like maybe 10,
Okay.
that we see on a regular basis. Today was awesome for the viewing party that we did.
Right, right.
You were there, which was
Yes.
great. Thank you for coming. We had a bunch of other folks. Some of the regulars, they're like 3 or 4 regulars that we see at most of the other events. But then new people showed up too. So it was really great. I think we had, I want to say, there was probably about 9 or 10 of us there, right?
Yeah, it was a good crowd.
Yeah. So, and then there was a lot of chatter in the Slack, in the Apple event Slack about it today. People posting comments about it. So I thought today was probably the most successful event that we've had in a long time with Swift Remote Studio.
Yep.
And it's just been growing, and I've noticed that it's kind of really taken off just within the last, I want to say, 2 to 3 months or so.
Awesome.
Because it went from I was looking at the numbers, and Josh Rock of Dumarks, he's been with me since the start on this project.
Yeah.
And I was telling him that just commenting to him about the fact that it was like at 40 and then 60 and then 80 and then just this last week it was like 95 and so we were just having this discussion, and it's remarkable to see that it's really kind of taken off, and it's great to see, and people seem to really enjoy it. We have the 2 weekly things that we do are the just a kind of a coffee meetup. We call it Swift Remote Coffee, and that happens on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific, and then we do a goal setting meeting on Fridays, and that happens at 12:30 p.m. Pacific.
Okay.
And the coffee thing is just kind of everybody
Chit-chat.
on Zoom chatting, chit chat. What's happening. Usually we get into the Swift developer kind of topics like frustrations with Swift UI or whatever the latest thing, or actually lately it's been Swift Data has been, and all the new beta stuff that we've gotten from DubDub. Then on Fridays the goal setting meeting has been really useful because usually it's pretty lightly attended. I want to say usually 4 or 5 of us. And then, but we talk about, we set goals, and then the next meeting you say, well, what of those goals that you set, did you achieve those, or not? And then what you plan to do for the next week. And so, and if you keep that cycle up, then it really kind of helps you to keep on track with side projects or whatever. Some people use it for education, so they have educational goals, so they're keeping those. And somewhere along the line, we started posting those in Slack too, so to keep a little more accountability. And it helps you too, because if you post it there, then you can refer to it, the following week. Like, what did I say that I was going to do? And so, yeah, it seems to be helping. A lot of folks are achieving their goals. So it's turned out to be a nice program for
sounds
those
awesome.
participate.
I love it.
Yeah, it's good.
We'll post links in the show notes so people can take a look and join.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I think
studio.com.
people should definitely get involved. So,
Yeah.
was there anything else you wanted to mention before we close out?
I don't think so. I think
Are
that's
you
it.
doing an
This was
Apple
really
Vision
fun.
Pro Lab?
I did one in August.
Okay.
Yeah, in the middle
Awesome.
of yeah,
How was it?
It was awesome, and I can't talk about it. So,
Okay, great. That's the end of that segment. So,
No. What I can say, what I can say is, there was on developer.apple.com. There was this article, and I can dig up the link. But it had Michael Simmons and it had Dave Smith _Dave Smith listed in there. A couple other developers too about their reactions to the Apple Vision Pro Lab.
okay.
And what I can say is everything that they say is exactly the way that I felt.
Okay.
The,
So I assume
the
you
only-
you could just drive there, right? Because you're in California.
Yes, I theoretically I could, and if I do another round of this, then I will. I'll do the dawn patrol. I'll probably have to leave here at like 5 a.m. to get there.
Okay.
Well enough in time. With if there's a traffic and that kind of stuff in the Silicon Valley. But what I did was I stayed over the night before and just went directly there, and it was a really nice experience. Everybody's super friendly, super helpful.
I would imagine.
They had what was nice was they had the mix of staff, because they tell you that there's going to be staff on hand to help you. So what was great is they had a kind of a mix of folks that could help based on any issues that came up. But yeah, and especially the thing that impacted me the most was the thing that David Smith talks about in his comments on that article.
Okay.
Which is that the audible gasp that happens because it does. I mean, it's like it's sort of a breathtaking experience the first time you try it, and it's nothing like doing it on the simulator.
Yeah,
So
I would
it's-
imagine so.
It's vastly different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Highly recommend if there's any way you can get to. Unfortunately, they didn't have too many locations. Cupertino is the only one in the U.S., right?
Right.
So,
right. Yeah.
Yeah,
A little bit hard for
that's
me.
unfortunate. Yeah.
Did you? I don't know if you
go
can
to London.
answer this. Did you come away with it with like a, oh yeah, moment where you're like, okay, now I see I have an app idea that makes total sense here. Where it was before you were just like, I'm not sure this is a good fit.
What I had was the opposite effect. I went in with at least 1 or 2 ideas of what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And as it turns out, the things that I wanted to do are not possible to do with it.
Oh, okay.
And that's all public, because if you look on the privacy information document that they have in the documentation for Vision Pro, there's an article on the privacy protection, which they specifically say in there that you do not have access to cameras. So the idea that I had involves using cameras for like an AR kind of purpose, and as per that document, the ideas that I had were actually negated. So it turns out that I came away with less ideas, but I definitely came away realizing that the experience is much more than what you see on the simulator. And it definitely gets the juices flowing, right? And you start thinking, well, okay, if I can't do this, what can I do?
Yep.
And so for that, I'm hoping I can get another opportunity to go back, because the other issue that I ran into, and this is what everybody knows, is that I went when Xcode Beta 6 was released, and if you had a Swift Data application, you could not deploy that to any hardware. I couldn't deploy it to my phone if I tried to run it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and so I wasn't able to deploy that to any devices. Hint, hint. So, so even though I can't talk about my experience, you could gather from that, if I can't deploy it to a phone, you could, by extension, think of what other devices I could not.
This is not something I'm
deploy that to.
aware of as a person who's been doing Mac development on Xcode
Yeah.
15. So I did not know
Yeah.
you couldn't do that. That sucks.
No, so it was literally just the beta. It was beta 5 and beta 6, I believe. Definitely beta 6. What happened was they released an iOS release that
okay.
had a different beta interface, or not beta interface, but the binary
No, I know what you
interfaces
mean. Shared SDK or
for
whatever.
Swift Data.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't align, and so and they knew about it. They
Whoops.
copped to it, so
Yeah.
they agreed that it was a problem. So it was resolved in beta 7, but by that time I had already been to the lab, so I was kind of like, hopefully I can get another shot at it. So we'll see. Anyway,
Cool.
but it was a great experience. I highly recommend, if you're close to Apple Park, or if you can finagle making it there, I highly recommend going to a lab. It's worth it. Definitely.
Thank you, Evan, so much for coming on the show. Where can people
Thank you,
find you?
You can find, where can you find me? Gosh, I think, there's swiftremotestudio.com. Is the URL for that. And then on Mastodon, you can find me. I'm on, Evan K. Stone at iosdev.space.
Okay.
So that's my preferred. I stick to Mastodon now. I'm not doing much with Twitter or X or whatever it is, and any of the other things. It doesn't interest me that much right now. Maybe it'll settle down to the point where it will. I'm on Blue Sky, and I'm on Threads, and still on Twitter, but I don't ever check those things. So it's pretty much just Mastodon at this point.
Thank you again, Evan, for coming on the show. It's
Thank
good
you,
to
Leo.
talk about this fun stuff.
Yeah, it was great.
People can find me on Twitter, X, whatever, at Leo G. Dion, and Mastodon, I'm at leogdion.c.im. My company website is Bright Digit, so take a look at it there for all past episodes and other articles and stuff. We've got some good stuff on there. Thank you so much. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're listening to this, please post a review on your podcast player. Evan, you want to say something?
Could I make a plug also for iOS Dev Break, the podcast?
Absolutely, yeah. And we're at iOS Dev Break. We'll put a link in the show notes to that.
Cool.
How often do you put out episodes?
Very rarely, but I just put one out today. Actually, I recorded yesterday, put it out today.
Okay, cool.
And the last one I did was like right before Dubbed Up. So,
Cool.
But I'm really trying to pick up the cadence on that.
So subscribe
doing
to that as well.
Yeah. iOSDevBreak.com. You can find it there.
Awesome. Everybody have a good week. Don't spend too much money. I will talk to you later. Have a good one.
Exactly.
Bye, everyone.